Hey guys, so in today's video, we're going to change our game to where it feels much more like a video game. And to do this, we're going to add a title sequence. So we're going to give it a title page, we're going to give it a how to play page, and we're going to interconnect them with buttons. So to get started, let's go ahead and select our backdrop and open up the different backdrop options here. And we'll see that at this point in time we have two. The top one's blank, we don't need it. So let's delete that one. If you don't have a blank one, that's fine. And then I am going to make this first backdrop my title page. So I'm going to rename it title page. And I am going to click on the text tool and I'm going to give it a name. Let's say feed the shark. And the feed the shark is a bad color for the background because we have a dark color on a dark background, and what we need is a bright color on our dark background. So let's go with maybe yellow. That seems like it'll fit the scene pretty well. And I'm going to get my selection tool and select it, and then see if I can make it bigger. I don't care for the way that it's going over there onto that coral. And there we have it. So now we have a nice title page that says Feed the Shark. I am going to, let's see, it looks like it was in front of this swerve in the background. Yeah, so let's take it, and I'm going to click this forward button and just make sure it's all the way in the front. And something crazy is going on there, but it's not showing up, so we're good with it. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to make a new page. So I'm going to right click on my backdrop here, click duplicate, and I'm going to name this new one How to Play. And come in here, select my text, and we now have a How to Play page. And since it's a little smaller, let's see if we can make that fill this space in with it. And then I need one more. I'm going to right click and duplicate. And this one is our standard game background while we're playing. So I selected the text and I hit the delete key on my keyboard. And I'm going to rename it Game Background. So this is what it looks like while we're playing the game. So here we have our title page, how to play, and our game background. So now that we have these pages, let's put them in the right place. So we're going to go back to our code, and we are going to select our background, and let's start coding it. Under Events, I'm going to say when the green flag is clicked, I want to change the backdrop to title page. And now, no matter what backdrop we're on, when I hit that green flag, it changes to the title page. Okay? But we need some buttons here. Actually, we don't need our buttons yet. What we need to do first is get rid of these sharks. So let's go to our shark and our code, and we're going to say, make a little space here to work. When the backdrop switches to title page, hide. And so we're telling the shark that whenever the backdrop switches to the title page, I don't want to see the shark. Same with the jellyfish. When the backdrop switches to title page, hide. And the same with the fish. Let's get a little working space down here. When the backdrop switches to the title page, hide. We'll tell them to show up a little bit later. But now when I hit this green flag, there's nothing there but my title page. I do need some buttons though. You know what what's happening is because of the 6-second wait on the fish, it is automatically kicking in after 6 seconds. So we're going to change this. I'll come back and change it in just a minute, but instead of saying when the green flag is clicked, we're going to put a different control up here. We'll come back to it. All right, so now we have our title page. We need our buttons here. So let's choose a new sprite, and I'm going to search for one called button. And it gives me these different options. I think I like this one. So I now have a button here called button, and I'm going to name it start. So now I have a button here named start. And let's look at its costumes. Ooh, I like that one. Nice orange button. I'm going to highlight it and stretch it out a little bit. Give myself some more writing room. And in the middle of it, I am going to write start, make it black, and make it big. Now you may have noticed as I was moving it around that there's a target in the middle of this, and there's a target in the middle of the button, and if you line them up, it's centered. All right, so now I have a button called start. Let's duplicate that. Let's right click and duplicate. And let's call this one how to, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do, silly. Scratch that. I don't want a button here. I don't want a costume how to play. I want a new sprite how to play. So I'm going to right click and duplicate. Now I have a new one. Inside the costume of the new one, I'm going to do how to play. Grab my select tool. I'm going to squish it down a little bit so that it fits on my button. And again, lock the centers together. It looks a little low, so I'm just going to click on it, hit my up arrow a few times sort of to center it. And then let's move this in about right here. Maybe, I don't know, that just doesn't look quite right. Good enough. Let's keep it up here. All right, so now we have a button called Start and a button called How to Play. Let's program these. I'm going to click on the Start button. First thing I'm going to do is make that fish stop swimming. Now, I'm going to click on the Start button and I want to give it some code. And I'm going to say when this sprite is clicked. In other words, when we click on Start, I want the screen, the background, to change to the game background. So once we start it, when I click Start, it goes to that game background. We still have these buttons in the way, don't we? So let's fix that. When I click the Start sprite, I want it to switch to the game background and I want it to hide. Let's try it now. Start, and it's out of our way. But we still have this play, how to play button in the way, so let's make it hide. And we will say when the backdrop switches to game background, hide. Now, got a little bit of a goof here. Let's see what we did in the code. When the backdrop switches. Oh, I know what we did. So we got to say when the game starts, we got to show. Because what we did that time is we told it to hide, but we forgot to tell it to show. So there we go. Now we got our code, our button showing. We go to the game, and everything's hidden. We got one more we need to add in here. We need to tell our how to play button to show at the beginning. I think most of y'all probably caught that. And now we have our buttons ready to go, except our how to play button doesn't work. Well, what do we want it to do? When our how to play button is clicked, so when this sprite is clicked, we want to change the backdrop to how to play. And now we go to the how to play. But we've still got these buttons here. So let's go to our how to play. And when the backdrop switches to how to play, we want that button to hide. Let's try it. How to play. And we can put instructions here and start. Excellent. So now we have our code set up to play our game. And what we would do here to get our code in, to get our instructions in, is we would go back to the how to play. We would draw on a big box and maybe make it brighter, maybe yellow. Actually, what we can do is we can click our eyedrop here and grab the same yellow that's in the title. That'd be good. And then we can grab text and we can say, to win the game, eat 10 fish. Notice that all of my text is yellow, so I need to change that to black. And now, hit enter. And then maybe throw some new text down here that says, use the arrow keys to move the shark. All right. So what that does, guys, is that goes ahead and sets us up. We now have a how to play screen. We have a how to play screen. We have a start screen. We have everything we need to play the game. But our fish don't know when to start. So let's go back into our shark and let's look at our code. We told our fish when the green flag is clicked to show up and glide. Well, we don't want it when the green flag is clicked. We want it when the backdrop switches to the game background. And we don't want our jellyfish to show up at any time. We'll go back and code that in a little bit later. We don't want our fish to start at any time. We want our fish to start when the backdrop switches to game background. And the same here, when the backdrop switches to game background. So now when I hit the green flag, it doesn't start the fish. It doesn't start the shark. When I hit how to play, the fish and the shark don't move. But when I hit start and our game starts, my shark will come up, my fish will start to move, and I don't know if you can hear the sound through the recording, but the fish disappear and make a chomping sound whenever they're hit. In our next video, we're going to go back and clean up a little bit of this code, and we're going to start working on something called a variable. And a variable is a piece of computer file that stores information. And we're going to use the variable to keep count of how many fish got eaten so that we know when we can increase levels.